No, now we're going.
How do
We're
you know?
up.
All right. Good morning.
Right now. Now we're back.
Oh, we're back.
Yeah, we're here.
Oh, good. So they missed that part. I get
We're
to say it
live.
over.
No, they heard us for a
Oh,
second.
good. Yeah, we're talking about the hip today. We are going to give you stretches. We're going to give you strengthening exercises, mobilizations, and more. Mike, what am I forgetting?
Well, we said 12 tips, but there's really like 20 something.
Yeah, it's all going to work out good. It's a beautiful day here in eastern Minnesota, western Wisconsin, where I came from, and we're very happy that the sun is shining, and it's going to be a beautiful day. I don't know how many people we got watching so far.
We have 174.
Oh,
Well, we'll be
wow.
live right at 10 o'clock. This is the pre-show, so let us know who's watching and where you're from. So leave it in the comment section. We'll say hi.
Yeah.
Well, we'll go live on TikTok at 10. You can go live. I don't care.
Yeah, we're going to go live. TikTok. We're going to all be happy together. All right. Let's see.
Hello, TikTok as well. We are live on here.
Who's
we'll
StreamYard?
Be officially streaming. Well, that's YouTube and Facebook.
That's
just the application we use, Brad.
All right. Very good.
Oh, we got some hellos coming in. Bay Area, California is Tracy. D's in North Texas.
Ooh.
Good morning from Michigan. We got a Midwest person there.
Michigan.
Sydney, physical therapist in Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, good.
Scotland.
Excellent.
Belize.
Oh, that's a
boy.
Nice
What
place.
time zones are these people in?
Yeah,
we're 10 a.m. where we're currently at. Lana in Texas, Portland. Danny, you're scrolling around. I can't read them all. Settle down, sir. I do, but he's also moving.
It scrolls automatically. You know, today we do have some older videos coming up with Bob in there. We're going to try it, so we'll see how it works out. I hope it works out well. We've got it planned out precisely, and sometimes that works.
We should let everyone know Bob is here virtually too on our laptop, so he is present.
Yes.
Well, he's not quite here yet, but we're waiting for him to join us.
Right.
He's going to be late a little bit.
Atlanta, Georgia. Rhonda. Good morning, Rhonda. Absolutely. I got a nephew, and his wife live down there. Say hi to him for me if you see him, you know. Yeah. His name is Sam. Yeah.
CL is in.
Sam. Oops.
And TikTok is watching.
Ooh.
TikTok, you can let us know where you're from, too. There's Belize. There's Thelma,
Dublin. I want to go to Dublin. I want to get to Ireland for
Janet
sure.
enjoys our programs and our fitness routines.
There you go. All right.
Yeah. Where is Bob? He is going to be tardy.
We've got some wonderful hip stretches we're going to start out with. We'll probably show a little bit of the mechanics of the hip so it's all clear to everyone once the visual comes up and that aspect of the program. Yeah, so this is our fifth, I think. Is it our fifth live program?
Yeah, and we should mention next week we'll be live again at 10 a.m. Central Time, and we're going to be doing neck pain and headaches.
There you go, and associate area, because things are connected. Sometimes neck pain comes from the shoulder, and sometimes shoulder pain comes from the neck. We'll talk about that, headaches and association with that. And, sometimes you just got to get away from certain people to get rid of your headaches, but we won't get into that. That's not our job.
Hello from New Mexico. Hi, Joan. Oh, Danny, you moved it. I can't see nothing.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Danny's
we're just a little, we got 71 seconds before we go live. I'm starting to get nervous. This is a big thing, you know.
We're technically live right now. They just can't see us.
Right. Well, that's
settle down.
Yeah, I feel better when people can't see me.
Hello, Yellow Brick Road. Says
ooh, Chris from North Carolina. Excellent.
Marine from Randolph, New York. Never heard of Randolph, New York. Huh.
Joanne from New Mexico.
I guess I've never been to New York, so I need to go out east sometime.
Yeah, you've got to expose yourself to other areas of the nation instead of sticking in Minnesota. Yeah, people don't talk like
morning from Sacramento. I've been to Sacramento. Good morning, Monica. I have been there.
Yeah. 30 seconds and we're going to make our big shift. This is getting exciting.
So you're going to say something else there?
No. All right, the hip. I got to look at the anatomy. We got the hip joint, the acetabulum, that's the socket, the femoral head, that's what we're talking about, and surrounding tissues. Oh,
I still don't know where Babalu is. He must have slept in this morning.
it's been a, you know.
Bob, if you're watching live, join the
Days
the
are
meeting.
getting longer, so people sleep.
Bob and Brad, the two most famous physical therapists on the internet.
Oh, and we're live.
There we are. Oh, there we are. All right, welcome. I'm Brad. This is Mike, and Bob he's working on joining us. So
He's tardy today. Give him detention.
Yep. So again, we'll review. We got the hip socket, the hip joint, and surrounding muscular tissues, as well as connective tissues. They're all involved with proper mechanics of the hip. And if things aren't working properly, pain can ensue, and we can correct it. And we're going to show you that. Anything else?
I think before we get into it, we're going to break this video down into stretches first.
Okay.
Then we're going to show you how you can do some self-mobilizations using a band or belt. We will get into some different massage or recovery techniques as well. And then finally, we're going to get into strengthening at the end. And the hip has lots of muscle groups, so we're going to be doing a lot of different things.
Right. Now, we're going to talk about stretching, and we're going to actually go back, and Bob and I had a brief conversation talking about how the tight muscles can be painful. Danny, can you pull that up? Okay, here we go. We're going to go back. I think this is about 5 years ago. Bob and I discussed this on a video, and it seemed like a nice this one won't be on
Running
the podcast.
Wild.
Here we go.
Our podcast is Running Wild.
So hip pain, we've mentioned this before. If you got hip pain, oftentimes there's some tight tissues in there, some tight muscles, some tight connective tissue that if you loosen that up, it can release the pain and really change your world around.
Yeah, because a lot of times when a muscle's tight, the hip's not working right.
Right.
I mean, it's actually kind of dysfunctional.
Throws the mechanics
Yeah,
off.
throws the mechanics off. It
Exactly.
can cause pinching. And so you stretch it out, you may be surprised that, if you were even headed for a hip replacement,
Right.
you might be able to hold that off for a while.
I've got a patient right now who's working with these, and he's having good success. Okay, so here we're talking about those tight tissues. We'll use Sam to just show you some of the tight tissues. The muscles from the hip, actually some come from the low back, connect up to the hip here, as well as muscles from the knee that come up. There's quite a coordination of muscles all making the hip function properly, as well as look at this brown tissue represents the capsule as well as ligaments. Those can really affect the motion of the ball in the socket when they get tight. Also, one of the things we talk about now is anterior glide syndrome.
Femoral glide syndrome.
I'm sorry, yeah. So if we look at this close right here, the femoral head actually goes anteriorly or forward like this. And we need to do some stretches to allow it to get back into place.
We should say we learned that from our friend Rick Olderman, who's a physical therapist as well.
That's right. He's written books on it and has taught classes to other physical therapists on how this works out so well.
We got someone joining us finally. He's a little behind time. Wave, Bob, wave. You're on camera.
Good morning,
There he
Bob.
is. All right. Back to work, I guess.
All right, should we go with the first stretch, and we'll keep an eye on your questions. We won't be able to answer all of them because it's difficult.
G says our orthopedic surgeon is saying she needs a hip replacement. She's trying everything to keep that from happening. Well, D, it's important to keep doing these and see if it can help, but even if you end up having the surgery, doing prehab is very beneficial as well because you'll just get stronger and better motion, and afterwards it'll go a little bit quicker. But hip replacements usually go pretty good.
Right, and if you're not familiar with prehab, it's the exercise and stretching and things you can do prior to the surgery, 3 to 4 weeks prior. I know a person who's done that on 2 surgeries, made a big difference. Excellent rehab after the surgery. All right, hip flexion. Should we talk about the hip flexors?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about actually doing a little bit of stretching for this first exercise here. And you can do this on a step or a stool or any type of higher surface. Brad, do you want to bring the stool out?
Yeah. Oh, the stool. Yes.
The big stool. Now, I could do this on a staircase as
Okay.
well if Tanner wants to follow. Oh, I better move TikTok. They're not going to be able to see us over here.
Now, this one is a little bit aggressive for some people. If your hip is really sore or you're older, or you have problems with balance and mobility, you'll have to modify this. You want to do it on the steps. It's a little more stable. If you're doing it on a stool, you have to be more stable yourself and have good balance. Go ahead.
So on the steps, hold on to the railing. The further your back leg is back, the more stretch you're going to feel in your hip flexor on my left side here. So all you're going to do is bend forward, and you're going to get into hip flexion on my right side, stretching your glutes out. And you can kind of mess around if your foot goes in more or out more. You can go on the bottom step. You can go on the second step, whatever your mobility and flexibility allows. And when I'm doing this, I'm getting a good pull and stretch in my back hip flexor as well. Now, most people, if they're having pain, aren't going to be able to go this far. So maybe just get a little bit closer and do what you can comfortably.
That's right. It's a nice stretch. And I'll show you. This is actually, I've got an exact same stool, just like this at home in my workout area, and this is how I do it. Again, now this is a little more aggressive and it feels really good. You're only going to do these stretches if it feels like a healthy stretch. No sharp pain. If you get sharp pain, you do not continue. Take and scratch that stretch off. Maybe come back to it later. I'll do this and I'll noodle around. Who's the expert that came up with that noodle term?
Kelly Starrett?
Kelly Starrett. Yes, he is an expert, and we really like his work as well. So I'll do that, and then I'll also let my foot hang off the end. I'm going to give you a little extra. That works the soleus, a little ankle stretch as well, just because it doesn't take any more time. 2 for the price of 1. You know how that goes.
So the next one we're going to talk about is rotating of the hip. Since the hip is a ball and socket, it can do a lot of different motions. So we're going to go into internal rotation. That's a lot of into. So we're going to work on stretching inward. In order to do that at your hip rotates in. It seems kind of goofy because my leg actually goes out, but I'm actually rotating my hip in. So you have to look at it from the hip joint, not your foot. So this is internal rotation and this is external rotation. I know it seems opposite, but that's what it is.
Yeah, so it's like, that country dance where they go like this.
I was going to say playing hacky sack, but okay.
That too, you could play hacky sack for this.
So to stretch into internal rotation, what you can do is, I like to do one is just take my opposite leg and go over my knee and just pull it in like this. So if I'm lying down, this is how I can stretch. Obviously, if you're having a lot of pain, don't go as far. If this seems too aggressive and you can't reach over like this, you can also just bring your hip cross body and grab it with your knees. I realize some people aren't flexible enough to flex up enough and then rotate over. So just do what area you can to stretch. Another good one is actually just low trunk rotations. You get a little bit of both.
Sure. And you're getting the IT band here as well, a little bit of piriformis. All these don't specifically isolate, but they really work a good general part of the hip. We've got a nice question she asked, I believe, where is that? How long to stretch? We should get this out of the way right now. There's a little bit of variable in there. You can hold the stretch in a relaxed manner, breathe while you stretch, no matter how long you hold it, 15 to 30 seconds, or you can do the pressure on and pressure off. I like to do the pressure on, pressure off for a lot of stretches. It's going to depend on how you respond and what works best for you. Remember, a little bit of stretching is a lot better than none at all. So make sure, but again, pressure on, pressure off, 5 to 10 times, hold 15 to 30 seconds, 1 to 2, maybe 3 times if it's feeling really good.
Now, if that seems too aggressive for you, what you can try is low trunk rotations. This is good for your back as well as your hips. So you just rotate side to side. I'm keeping my back flat on the mat. You can certainly do this on the floor or in a bed. Some people will have too much pain if they go too far to one side. So just go what's comfortable. And with this one, you're not really holding for time. You're just kind of doing repetitions. So I may go 10 repetitions each way just to kind of loosen the hips up a little.
Yeah, Anna from Tucson, good to see you. And that was from Elaine, who had the question about how long to stretch. I hope that was clear.
Someone asked if they could still do this with a complete hip replacement.
Ooh.
Once you're past your precautionary phase, as long as your surgeon says it's fine, you can do these. Most of the time, those will last for so many months. It also depends on what approach you had. Some of them go from the front, some of them go more from the back.
Right. That is a big thing we do have to mention. Not enough is if you've had a hip replacement, know the precautions, know from your surgeon how long he recommends that you hold it. So I've had people have up to a year before they're allowed to do particularly hip extension. And it depends if you have the anterior approach where they come in from the front, the precautions are quite different than as opposed to the traditional posterior approach. So hip replacement people, make sure you communicate with your physician or physical therapist to find out if the precautions are there or not.
We like to address, we're getting some questions on other
Ooh.
parts. We're addressing hip today. We do live each week with a different area. So we've done some in the past, especially with shoulder already. So you can look into that. Neck we'll be doing next week. Beatrice asks if you can do these every day. You certainly can if they feel good and loosen you up. If you're pretty sore after stretching, maybe take a day off and then you can do it every other day. Whatever availability you have in your schedule, it's not like you have to do them every day.
Should we do the hip adductor stretch? That's the one that gets your groin area, the inside muscles.
We can if you don't want to do the couch stretch right away.
Well, we can do that too.
You go to do the hip adductor.
Well,
you're skipping around on my numbers.
Well, I'm sorry, but the hip abductor, if you have stairs, I think is probably one of the best options for it because it's a little awkward of a stretch, but you can go like this, and then you can just go out. Oh, now stay right there. I'll be right back. Don't worry, Tanner. You might want something for balance. And if that's not giving enough stretch, you simply go up to the next step, or, if you're really flexible up to here, you want to keep your trunk up, and I'm just going to drop down, feel that stretch and over. And I like to do particularly this one on off, because if you're holding this out here for 30 up to 30 seconds, this leg can get really tired and you get unstable. So on off is what my recommendation is.
Do you want to show the butterfly stretch?
Yeah, actually that's one I do on a regular basis. And this is can I go down on the floor, Tanner? All right. The butterfly stretch, you can do this one lying down. And just I like to put my feet together and allow this to happen like a clamshell. But usually, yeah, there we go. Mike is doing it how I do it. Yeah.
So you usually put your feet together. If you're really tight, your knees are going to be way up here like this, but just try to push down. I like to use my elbows, and then you just stretch out that way.
Yeah, that's a nice way. And that's one of my favorite because it's relatively easy and it's really effective as well. I do want to mention, where did she go? Oh, the thing keeps scrolling on us. Someone was asking, she says her hips, I believe it was a female, said her hips were clunking when she does exercises. Is that something to be concerned of? The answer is if there's zero pain with it, it clunks, but it doesn't hurt. Everything functions well. It's okay. Keep monitoring it. If it ever develops into pain associated with that clunking, you should go in and get a look at, maybe get some x-rays, see what's going on in that hip. He's walking right from me. See, this is what I have to put up with.
I'm getting ready for the next stretch.
Right. Okay, well, he's got an excuse.
So,
I hope that answers that question because it is a really common and legitimate question.
So we're going to work on stretching the hip flexors. We're going to show lots of variations because some people can't get down on the ground like I'm about to do. So the hip flexors run in the front of the hip here. There's numerous ones, but some of them actually connect to your spine.
Yes.
And then they go to your femur and then they help flex. Some of them actually go over your knee and your hip. So we're going to show you how to stretch them all. So the first variation we can do is the least aggressive one is you kneel down. I like to be on a pillow or cushion or pad because it doesn't feel good on the hard ground. And then all you're going to do is with a nice straight back, lean forward. You can hold onto something if you need to. And then just hold this for 30 seconds. If you don't like to hold it, like Brad said earlier, you can kind of rock back and forth and do it this way. Hold it for a few seconds, pressure on, and then take pressure. Are you making a hip flexor there?
Yeah, so people have a really good...
Is that the iliacus or the psoas major?
Well, they're combined. The tape is not really easy to give a good representation, but it's good enough for an idea.
So we're just kind of stretching those ones right now with this one. If we want to try to get the rectus femoris, which actually goes
Ooh.
all the way from the hips over down to the knee. What you need to do
Here we
is
go.
bend the knee as well as extend the hip backwards. So for this, if I'm in a position like here, you can put if you have a couch behind you or a chair, you can try this version. Again, kind of lean forward and I really feel more of a stretch that way. You can also lean back and you'll get a little bit more rectus fem. Now, don't do it on a rolling stool because it's going to get away on you. And you can kind of stretch this way as well. So make sure your hips are nice and neutral. You can also do it against a wall, which is I do a lot, but your foot's going to get in a different position.
That one really stretches this rectus femoris one, which oftentimes gets neglected on stretches because of the mechanics of it. Someone mentioned of getting cramps when they stretch their adductors. Cramps is it can be a real challenge and a problem for people depending on, and it's not easy to solve always, but if you do get a cramp, you need to stretch that muscle. So if you're getting in, I don't know exactly what muscle group you're talking about, but you need to stretch it, stop what you're doing and try and stretch that muscle out, alleviate the cramp. Inner thigh. And if you're getting you could actually, the clamshell or, or the one where you sit like this.
Just don't be as aggressive. Come back out of it for a little bit and then go back in. I mean, most of the time it's either the muscle's too tight or you have an electrolyte deficiency.
If you have just one side, you could hold your foot and stretch that out and get that. Using the massage gun would work that really well. We'll get into that later.
These muscles, usually if they spasm or like that, or you get Charlie horse, they're not used to being elongated, so they're kind of protecting against it. So you just have to slowly work into it. Oftentimes, I'll just kind of sit there for a while, and then it learns to relax. So you may even have to sit for like 60 seconds or more if you're comfortable with it. But another way to stretch your hip flexor, if you're really uncomfortable getting on your knee, like I showed, a simple way is go to the edge of your bed. Don't fall off your bed. You're going to have to scoot your butt close to the edge and then just drop it down like this. You'll get a little bit of a stretch, and then you can try and bend your knee and you'll get more. You may even have to get like one cheek off the side and the other one on. Just make sure you're steady and don't fall over. I've had some people do this. If they're really tight, they're like way up here. So this is a very beginner way to start. If this seems easy for you, but you still can't get to the ground, what you can do is a Thomas stretch. So oftentimes therapists have this test to test.
Yeah, get it out of your
tight
mouth.
Hip flexors. So you go to the edge of your bed. Hopefully your bed is firm enough. If you feel like climbing on a countertop or kitchen table, go ahead, but they're quite firm. So you're going to bring both knees to your chest. If I'm testing for tightness, I'm just going to drop one hip down. Say I can only get to here. That's a sign my hip flexor is tight. You should be able to get to a neutral position or past. Now, if you're tight, all you have to do to stretch it is stay in this position. Bring your other knee up towards your chest, push down, and then try to bend your knee back and hold this for 30 seconds. Make sure your foot is in a nice straight line. Don't let it veer off to the side too much or in, and Brad's just going to break my leg apparently. But hold this for 30 seconds, reset with both knees to your chest, and then make sure to do it on the opposite side. I like to do this 2 to 3 times if I'm doing it. I mostly do the couch stretch, which we showed earlier, but do what one feels best for you, or you can do.
There you go. So there's one more range of motion we have not addressed yet, and that's the external rotation of the femur. Is that accurate?
Well, we also haven't looked at hamstrings, but that is one of them.
There was questions. Are we going? Yeah, we'll show some hamstrings because they are directly connected, or not directly connected, but associated with hip pain. But we want to talk about that external rotation, which allows you to bring your foot up like this, which is really handy to do for tying your shoes, putting your shoes on, particularly as we age. That can get tight. So we're going to actually go back. Bob and I actually show a really good way. It's about 4 years ago how to do this. It's well explained. We went back for about 57 seconds worth. So we'll see. Danny's working on getting it to come up in just a second. Wow. I just take a little break here for myself.
Easy on this. We've done this before. So if I put the other one up and it's way up like this, obviously this one's a lot tighter, you know, than the other one. And again, pressure on, pressure off. Now this is the one I also do. I did it this morning. I do it every morning. able to keep my hips in good condition so that I can keep running.
So I multitask with this one, Bob. When I put my socks on the edge of the bed, then I do it because my foot's already there.
There you go.
And just a few stretches, put the socks on, stretch a little more, and go to the next one. And
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Make it a part of your day, and
Exactly.
then it's one thing. It's a reminder to do it then also.
Yeah.
But you know, if you have a desk job and you're working, you know, on a chair, obviously these two are so simple to do. You know, these are easy to do 4 to 6 times a day because you just go like this.
Right.
I mean, people won't even around. You won't even notice.
Exactly. Or they might. Everyone in the whole office might be doing them.
Yeah, and if they notice, they go, "Oh, it's just that Heineck again.
Yeah,
what's he doing now?"
Nutcase.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, the figure 4 stretch, like we just demonstrated, done seated, or you can do it supine lying down, as both Bob and I did that. I think that is such an easy stretch to do and important as we age, especially.
Now we're going to look at the hamstrings. So the hamstrings run from the hip to your knee, and in order to stretch them, you can do it in a seated position, a standing position, or lying down. It doesn't really matter. If you are sitting at the edge of a mat table, you can just put one leg up like this. And then as soon as you start to lean forward slightly, you should feel your hamstrings start to stretch. Your hamstrings run back here. You have 3 of them on each leg. You can hold this for 15 to 30 seconds. If this is too uncomfortable for you, you can take a stool like Brad is sitting in. Can I have that for a second,
I'm
please?
sorry. I'm trying to read a question.
Well,
here.
we'll get to the questions right after this, because then we're getting to the next section.
Yeah.
So in order to do this, you can use, if you're sitting on a couch and you have a leg rest or an ottoman or something, you can put your foot up on a stool. You can also just do this in a chair. And then all you're going to do is work on getting your knees straight. And again, lean forward. I'm not rounding hard. I'm just slightly bending forward. You can hold for 30 seconds this way. Or do you want to show how you can do it standing, Brad?
What are we talking about?
Hamstring stretches.
I'm reading Douglas's questions.
Well,
it actually relates to this a lot. Yeah. So this hamstring, the knee should be straight and you have a back straight, as opposed to going like this. Bent knee, rounding your back is not going to be effective. So get up tall. If you have really tight hamstrings, you may not be able to do this. You'll want to do it seated. But this is the way I do them. I'm fairly flexible for hamstrings.
Now, you can also do this standing at the stairs. So on your stair, obviously, just start with the lower one. If it doesn't seem aggressive, just move your foot up. And that way you can hold on to something for support as well.
That's right. Now, this relates directly to Douglas. He's got a question about nerve pain associated with stretching in the leg. So on this particular stretch, if you're doing it standing, or Mike, do you want to lie down on your back and do the hamstring stretch lying down? It'll work either way.
Oh.
So if I'm stretching here and
so all you have to do is try to get your leg kind of a neutral position. I could support it. If you can't reach, you can use a blanket or towel or sheet or belt to hold it. And then you can just work on trying to like kick up like this, and you'll get some hamstring. Oh, you could see me twitching a little bit here.
Now let's go through this. How do you know if it's muscle or nerve? Let's do this with Mike. If Mike is doing this from here, or I'm helping him, and I go up to here and he feels a hamstring stretch, just like don't give it away yet. And you feel stretch here and everything else feels normal, it's probably hamstring. At that point, if you pull your toes back like this and all of a sudden you feel pain past the knee up into the toe, it's almost certainly a nerve that's being stretched. So again, if this turns on the stretch up in here and all the way up into the back, it's almost certainly a nerve. If you just feel the stretch in the hamstring, it's probably muscle. It could be nerve, but not as...
We should say you might also feel some tingling going on if you start to do that.
Yep.
It's good to be able to differentiate between a nerve or a muscle tightness and like that nerve.
Right. If you do it standing and you got your knee straight, you don't feel anything. And then again, if I pull up like this, as a matter of fact, right now I can feel stretch here. When I pull my toes up, oh, it drops into here. It's a weird feeling. That's my nerve being stretched a little bit. It's not serious. I don't have a problem with it. But if you're aware of it, that's how you can tell. Or if you go like this and you bend your head down and all of a sudden it turns on your leg pain, almost certainly it's related to nerve pain. These things are not easy always to remember for the layperson. So if it's confusing, I'm sorry, but in this situation, it's hard to give a really succinct answer and have it memorized.
Stan says, I sit at a desk a lot. If I lift my right leg while sitting, my hip flexor very quickly fatigues and cramps. Should I be trying to strengthen leg lifts or stretch it?
That's a
What
good
does
question.
he mean if I sit at my desk? Well, try both. One day, try stretching it and see if you're tight. So, like we showed earlier, Stan, the Thomas stretch where I lay down the edge of the mat and drop my hip off. If you can't get to neutral position, it could be tight. If it's weak, it could be weak too, and you can try strengthening it. We are going to show some strengthening exercises at the end. You could certainly do both. It's not going to hurt anything. So
I'm assuming if you're doing this, it only happens after you've been sitting for a while. If you're able to stand or go for a walk or do something to change your position, just stand and do a stretch back like this a little bit every 10 to 20 minutes, that might help the situation as well.
Apache says, I hurt my wife's hip by accident. How do I fix it? Well, buy her flowers first and apologize.
There you go.
And then send her a bunch of Bob and Brad videos or send her to PT. That's all I got for that question.
Yeah, we're sorry about that, Apache. It's a
good morning, Deborah. She said good morning.
Right.
What a fusion. Oh, we're not talking about lower back fusions today. Sorry. Any other questions? I prefer to sleep on my side, but my hip hurts terribly if I'm there too long. It literally wakes me up when I sleep because of it. Okay.
We can show her that. There's
a couple of suggestions.
Patsy, we're talking about Patsy. Yeah, Patsy, I think we're going to fix your problem if you haven't tried this. I really feel it's going to be beneficial.
There's a couple options you can try. The first one is if you are able to sleep on your non-painful hip. So my painful hip would be my right side. I would suggest getting a pillow, possibly a long pillow, put it between your ankles and your knees because this is going to leave a little bit of gap for your hip. What commonly happens with side sleepers is as you sleeping, you may start like this and then you roll like this. You're putting a lot of stress on the outside of the hip muscle here. So having that pillow there kind of prevents it. You may slide a little bit, but you don't go as much. Obviously, the thicker the pillow, the more gap you're going to have in there. So you're going to have to mess with that. Now, if you are sleeping on the painful hip, so let's just say it's my left side for filming purposes, what you can try to do is actually put the foot under your ankle because this will rotate your hip like this. So you can give that a try when you're sleeping as well and just see if those help. Obviously, the best thing to do is to get off the painful side if possible. And if you're lying on your back, you could try putting a pillow or two underneath your legs just to get them in a different position to see if that helps having your hips flexed more or not. But try those out.
All right. Stan, he's talking about that weak hip flexor. He's saying, it sounds like he's saying just to get his leg up here to tie his boot for 30 seconds, it gets fatigued. Yeah, if it's not painful, just fatigue, it sounds like you'll want to stick around for the hip strengthening exercises.
Yes, that would probably be very beneficial.
Yep.
I think we got all the questions up to date right now. So we're going to show a couple mobility options you can do to loosen your hip up. So you're going to need either a belt of sorts or a loop band for these. I personally like the loop band because it has a little give in comparison to the belt. But what we're going to do is actually address anterior femoral glide syndrome, which we talked about earlier. Brad, do you care to elaborate a little again with Sam?
Oh, yes. So what we're talking about is mobilizations. This is where you're actually getting a little more aggressive of a stretch. But in this situation, we're not really stretching the muscles, although we are some. We're actually getting at some of these tissues in here, the ligamentous tissues and the capsule, which holds the joint in place. Now, we got the steel in here, which you don't have in your hip, but anterior.
What?
Yeah, so the anterior glide syndrome, the femoral head is actually forward, comes this direction. You know, it's not a lot, but it's enough to make it become uncomfortable and painful. That hip ball should be in the socket, fully functioning well. So this little stretch here you should do. And again, this is something, while you do it, you should feel good. If it hurts, particularly sharp pain, immediately stop it. Do not continue with it. That's important.
So oftentimes if you're sitting too much, your hip flexors get tight and your glutes aren't activating properly. That's what can cause anterior femoral glide syndrome. This is pretty common nowadays with people that are sedentary or just walk with a big heel strike pattern. So what you can do is, I'm using the band. You can use a belt. A belt is not going to have any give. You're going to get stuck where you're at with it. But with the band, you go and get some nice tension. Brad, you're gonna have to sit on that. I'm too strong. Our stairs have wheels. They're a little different.
There
we go.
They were good.
Make sure it's something sturdy, as you see. And if I'm stretching this one out, all I do is go forward as far as I can till I feel a good stretch. Oftentimes, you don't have to leave your hand there, but if I don't, it'll slide around on me. So I leave my hands there. You kind of get it in the groin region here. And then you're just going to go forward, and this should feel good right away, like Brad said. If you're in a belt, you're just going to kind of hold it. With the band, I like to do little oscillations and go forward. And I'm getting a good pull on the top of my femur there, pushing it backwards. And this should feel good if it's right for you. I like to do this way, and I also like to turn and then go to a lateral lunge and do this. This feels the best for me. It just really stretches and distracts that hip out.
There you go. So if you don't have one of these heavy loop straps and you have belts, sometimes you have to put two belts if it's a traditional belt that they can go together to get a long enough strap like this one.
But you can see you can do it, but it's pretty narrow, and you're not gonna. You have no movement. I don't.
Yeah, it's just too short to do it, and you'll need a solid, thing, not like our steps that move around, because this is actually the stairway to heaven. Just go up. Don't disturb them. We got a long ways to go before we get there.
I think another good thing to show Brad while you're there is how to do some hip distraction on the step by letting your leg hang off.
I'm going to do it?
Yeah.
I don't even know which one you're talking about.
Standing at the edge and let your hip drop down.
Oh, yes. A little bit of traction, if you will. So my right hip is the one, and this is a really nice one to do, particularly if you have arthritis and people with labrum tears that this is successful with. The right hip will be the one that has the pain, and we're going to completely relax. This is by far the hardest to teach someone, particularly if you're a tense person, and it's painful. So your muscles will kind of tense up, protecting it. Learn how to relax that. Take a deep breath. You have to breathe in the nose, out the mouth. Pretend your leg is like a pendulum. Hang up. We don't have the pendulum from last week.
I'm sorry.
That's all
right. Over there
somewhere hiding. And just allow it to swing back and forth. And this is the right thing to do because it will feel good while you're doing it. It's like relief. You're distracting a little bit, getting the arthritic surfaces so they're not grinding against each other. They're opened up a little bit, allowing synovial fluid, that natural lubricant, to get into the hip, allowing pain-free movement. Now, that doesn't mean when you put weight on it, it's not going to hurt, but it should hurt less. If it feels good doing this, do it as much as you want. And hopefully we have some residual relief after you walk. If it's that painful with weight bearing, then you should use a cane, at least temporarily. We'll get to that.
Brad, do you want to start getting some of the massage guns ready as I answer this person's question?
Oh, yeah.
So
I have to walk in front of you, though, Mike.
That's okay. I'll just talk. So I can't read that whole username, Fitpildred or something. I have noticeable pain in my left hip, knee, and ankle after a long walk compared to my left side. My left hip compared to my left. I'm assuming they mean right. Do I need to do stretches on my leg after? Do I need to stretch my leg after before? What I would try first, if you have some noticeable tightness, yes, you can stretch it out, but I would just try changing your walking pattern and seeing if that helps, because you'll notice right away if it does. So Tanner, do you want to go down to my feet quick and I can show what I'm talking about? So a lot of people, when they walk, they heel strike. They put their foot far out in front of them like this. And then you're going to get a lot of impact forces going through all your joints from your ankle, knee, all the way up to your hip. Brad, can you turn the other iPad so TikTok can see us?
Oh, TikTok.
So instead of doing your normal walking pattern where you heel strike with your foot way out in front of you, what I want you to try to do is just take a shorter step, land with your foot kind of flat and your knee bent, or land more on your forefoot. Just do what's comfortable and try walking like this with little shorter steps and not heel striking, and see if your pain feels better. Just take take it slow. It's going to feel weird at first because you've been walking the same way your entire life. And I would try it in your house first without shoes on, maybe in your slippers or socks, as long as you're comfortable with that, and seeing how that feels. Because most shoes have elevated heels, and it's kind of hard to land with the flat foot versus a heel strike.
Yes.
So,
yeah, and some people do heel strike quite aggressively, and they're completely unaware of it because they've been walking that way all their life, and that can contribute, or probably does contribute, to the arthritic problems in the knee and the hip. So we do want to talk about loosening the muscles up around the hip using the massage guns.
yeah, so stretching, like we showed earlier, is good. Mobilization with the band is also a good option, but sometimes people just want to sit down and do it. So a good option is using some sort of massaging device. Right. You can also use like a soft ball and do it on the floor. You can use a foam roller. Some people just like you can just kind of sit around a massage gun while watching TV. But so yeah, just kind of massage the areas all around it.
Yeah, so in general, if you're a larger person, you got a lot of muscle or a lot of soft tissue, you want to get in deeper, that would be the person. That'd be the only person I would recommend one of these large massage guns. This one actually has a heated head, but a lot of them do not. Heated, or there's a head like this that we sell. It's actually heats up or cools down. It's really nice, not necessary, but it is really nice, and we're very impressed on how well they work. So Mike has got the small massage gun, and he's using the round head, which is a very versatile head, and it can be used a lot. Go ahead, Mike.
I can go right over my bony area here, because my hip, you have the top of your femur there, especially the outside. It's called your greater trochanter region. It's kind of bony, and that area, if you hit that with a bullet head or a really aggressive massage head, it's not going to feel too good, because I've done it myself before. So you could try just using a softer air head, around head. I notice I'm doing the figure 4 stretch while doing this. When I'm ever massaging my legs, I like to stretch at the same time, because it's going to hit your muscles a lot different. If I'm sitting in this position, getting the front hip flexor muscle here versus it back behind me, or even lunging, it feels a lot different. So try to mess around with what areas feel tight and where you notice it, and just try to massage in there and do different things.
Can you get a close-up of this, Tanner? So this is an air head. It's soft. It literally has air in it. And this is a go-to, particularly for beginners. Okay, always, if you're going to buy a gun, I personally would not buy a massage gun unless it includes a air head and a round head, because they're real staples of massaging, and as far as we're concerned. So keep that in mind, particularly when you're getting close. The muscles very close to bony prominence, like the greater trochanter, the hip, the knee, around the ankle. Using that airhead can allow you to get close to the bone without irritating it, because if you get close to the bone, to that tendon where the tendon connects, it's going to hurt. So
this massager actually comes the Plus model with a heated head. So this one heats up. You probably can't see it on camera, but when it heats up, the ring glows right around the outside of it. I don't know. Oh, yeah.
Show them how. Now this has 16 millimeters of movement, which is getting
this is
up
level
there.
1.
Yeah. So put your hand on there like we did that
last.
last.
You want to see how much my fingers move around?
Go up in the
there?
palms to get those.
Okay. Well, we're not
relax your fingers.
We're not massaging the hands today, but if you're massaging around this is the D6 Pro Plus. The Pro does not have the heated head, but this thing's pretty strong. It feels nice if you massage your hip with it, but again, it's pretty aggressive compared to the other ones. You want to show you I can use a ball?
Yeah, I'm going to go down here. This is the way I'll show you how to use a ball, and then you can grab me a 6-inch roller as well. Just because we're talking about massage guns, now I'm going to use the one with the hot and the cold head. Again, you do not need it, but they are handy. They feel good. So I always lie down on my side if I'm working my right hip. The greater trochanter, feel it with your fingers. It's bony. You're not going to massage that. You're going to work around it. There we go. And I always go like this to get a stretch, just like Mike was talking. And I like working the glute maximus back here. I've got SI or sacroiliac problems on my right side. When it flares up, I will do this to get the muscles supporting that area loose. And that's pretty close to the hip, so we're covering that a little bit. Get up around here, Watch out for your pelvic bone, the top iliac crest. Do not hit that because it's bony and it will be uncomfortable unless you're losing the airhead and you're okay. And again, working the front. Be careful in your femoral crease right here. You have lymph nodes. You do not want to massage your lymph nodes. So you're not going to get into the femoral crease. Stay to the side and then down. And again, you can work that here. I do want to mention hamstrings because we had someone ask about that. This is the way I do my hamstrings. They're connected down into the what's that called again, Mike?
Sorry, I'm reading the questions. What are you doing?
Anyways,
What area are you massaging?
the hamstrings connect to the
ischial.
Why did that skip my mind?
Your butt bone.
Because the butt bone, the sit bone. That's what we call. This is a really good way to flex to work the hamstrings. Extend. Oh wow, that's a different wake up call. There we go. Now, if you don't have a massage gun, fear not. There are other ways to do it. If you've got a softball, work those hamstrings like this. You can go to the side. This is pretty aggressive on the IT band. I would use the 6-inch roller. I'll show you that in a bit. But you can definitely get into that hip adductor right above that bony trochanter. You got to be careful with this because it's aggressive. If it's too aggressive, tennis ball, not so bad. It's smaller. It's got a little give to it. Oh, yeah, that's definitely the way to go on the abductor. I always use a gun. So this is, and then we're going to get to the glute maximus. Yeah, works well. So you go to if you don't have a tennis ball, go to the neighbor's house. Maybe they play tennis or the tennis court down the road. Can you throw me the 6-inch roller? There we go. Work the hamstrings, and you can work right up into that hip. So I don't want to get, and then turn sideways and work that. If you want more pressure, just lift this leg up.
Brad, there's a very important comment I'd like to address.
What's the issue?
They said
Did I do something wrong?
They said I look much thinner and muscular than before. I'm just wearing a tighter shirt. I'm the same.
Oh, yeah. We do that all the time. We're really obese and we have problems with exercise. No, we don't. I'm just kidding. We do exercise quite a bit, I guess.
Our video editors like to make us look overweight.
Yeah, they do wonderful things with our physique. I really like to use this on that SI joint and over the sacrum. Is this one of the things that feels good, even though it's not muscular? This is a medium one. If you get the black ones that are a little harder, that probably won't be the case. I would recommend to a lot of people get the medium. You can see when you purchase them, and I'd get the long one if you do want to purchase one of those. That's one of my favorite ones. I use that on my thoracic back, but we're not doing that today, so I'm not gonna expound on that.
Michelle had a question more about knee.
What about
replacement,
her knee?
But it kind of connects to the hip. She just said she had a knee replacement 8 years ago. The movement's not the same. Can I ever get that movement back in my knee? I had surgery on. If it's 8 years ago, it's going to be pretty hard to get it back. Early on, they would do a manipulation if you're really struggling with it. I guess they could do a manipulation still, but I'm not sure how successful it would be.
Well, yeah. That's kind of.
You can just keep working on it if you haven't been doing it for a while. I can't guarantee it's going to get back to where it was because it's been so long, but you can certainly try because muscles and tendons do get tight over time if you don't try to push them into some discomfort. But you're not going to hurt your knee any if you get a little aggressive with it because knee replacements are pretty solid structures once they're in there. Anyway, back to hips.
Oh, yes. Should we talk about strengthening exercises? Because there was someone particularly with hip flexors.
Well, we haven't talked about hot or cold yet.
Hot or cold, yeah. Well, that is a good question.
So if you have an acute injury and you're having a lot of swelling or discomfort, or maybe you even had surgery, ice is often a good option. So whether that is a gel cold pack or if you have one of those cooler things your surgeon sends you with too, but just something like that, that's a ice pack that forms to your body and is not solid, because a solid ice obviously is going to be a little, it's not very comfortable to sit on.
Right. Yeah, you can actually, on a recliner, I like to do this, put it over that hip, sit down, and then so that makes good contact. And that's why a solid cold pack that doesn't flex is not very good at all. It's not comfortable and it does not make good contact, which is necessary.
I mean, you can do an ice bath if you really want, but it's cold. Just letting you know.
It's not very convenient either. I will put a pillow in there against the armrest to help push that cold pack wraps around the hip. Yeah, and this is a little cool. It's feeling good right now.
Yeah, and it can help too with like kind of bursitis as well. Other things though, if you have just some hip pain that's been lasting long term, you're not sure what it is, or you have hip arthritis, heat is often a better bet. It will also limber up all the muscles around it. So if you're going to do some stretching, maybe apply heat, you can use one of these things. They are a hot and cold pad. You just microwave them. You can use an electric heating pad like Brad has over there. You can use a hot tub, a hot bath as well. Oftentimes, if I'm tight, just an Epsom salt bath really loosens stuff up.
What do you do with the salt?
I drink it all.
Yeah, no, that is one of those old remedies is Epsom salt and water, and there's some science behind it. We're not going to get into that now. That's for another day. This hot pack, if you're using a hot pack, surface contact with the area to be heated. Can you just?
Well, fine.
Now, if you're lying down and the right hip is the one I'm comfortable here, maybe I'll put the pillow between here and I want to heat it up. A weighted hot pack I've found are superior compared to a standard hot pack because they drape over and they make very good contact without having to push it down. Sometimes other ones, they stick up and you got to push them down and hold them so they make contact. Weighted ones do not do that. They hold the heat better. It seems they're more comfortable. They're great. And this one, we do recommend this one because we know it works. I've used them at home many times. So there you go. And also, if you're sitting, look at that. It just comes over and it stays where it's supposed to. It's a big difference. They work good for all parts of the body.
We did have a question from Nicole. Can foam rolling this way, like Brad was showing, aggravate or cause bursitis? No, it's not going to cause bursitis. If you have acute bursitis, it won't feel very good. I'll let you know that.
Yeah.
But other than that, no, it's not going to cause it. It's typically just moves your fascia around and a bit musculature. It doesn't go real deep. And bursitis is oftentimes you have some tightness and dysfunction in your hips, so it's rubbing too much on your outside.
All right.
Bursa.
Yeah, the bursa, those are sensitive things. They hurt. Typically from repetitive motion is very common where they come from. We'll go. Should we get to strengthening yet?
Well, we got to talk about unloading your hip. I'm sorry, I'm just reading some of these questions right now. One more tip before we get into strengthening is how to unload your hip while walking. And if it's very painful and it is not getting better, Brad has actually done this with crutches before.
Oh, yes.
Was it your hip or was it a different?
No, it was distinctly. My right hip was very painful. To this day, I'm not exactly sure what it was. If it was anterior hip syndrome or whatever, but I literally had to use crutches. And I was going to go to the doctor on Monday and get it x-rayed because Friday night it was hurting extremely all day. Saturday, I walked with crutches. And again, this was my sore hip. And I just kept it dangling. It was perfectly fine if I didn't put weight on it. If it's not so bad and you just want to use one crutch, this is how you're going to do it. This is the painful hip. You're going to put this on this side and walk like this. Hop along, we call that.
Some other options is a cane you can use. Now with a cane, you're going to hold it the opposite side of the painful hip. So even if your right hip is painful, but you're right-handed, you're going to have to use it in your left leg because when you walk, you often swing your left arm and your right leg forward. We don't walk same side. So you're going to unload it that way when you're walking with a cane, or even if, say, you're using a cane already and it's not getting better, you may have to go to a walker. Now, we're not saying you have to do this forever, just as long as you're having some hip pain still, and see if it helps alleviate some of that pain. Some people, unfortunately, their hips just degenerating, wearing out more, so they may need to use it until they get something done about it.
Right. So again, with walker, one with wheels is probably preferable. You don't have to pick it up and move it. This one, or a four-wheeled walker, which is really handy outside. But again, if you need to partial weight bear, this is the sore one. I'm going to come here and I'm going to weight bear through my arms as I step through. So the sore leg goes first, step. Sore leg, good leg. It goes walker, sore leg, good leg. Repeat that in your head. I remember when I was working in the hospital, people after surgery had that said, walker, sore leg, good leg. Walker, sore leg, good leg. I'm sure the patients were getting real sick of me because they got it down.
One thing we should address is if you're having hip pain while doing steps.
Ah.
So what you would do is go up with your non-painful hip and then down with the painful hip. So Brad, you want to show that quick?
Pain in the right hip. Going to come here up with the good leg. Step 2. You're not going to step past. You do not want to go up with the good leg first ever. So it's here, step 2. Strong leg, step 2. Strong leg, step 2. And then going down, it's the opposite. You're actually going to go down first with the sore hip. Use a handrail, 2 if they're there. If only 1, just use that one. Down with the sore leg. There we go. Down with the sore leg. So up with the good leg, down with the bad leg first. Really, really important to remember. It'll make a big difference on making your hip feel better while doing stairs. Can we get to the strengthening exercises yet?
Well, Beatrice says use a roller when having discomfort only or preventative. You can do it anytime you want. I foam roll just to limber up my legs before I go out and run a lot. So.
Yeah, the foam roller is a nice tool. Once you use it a lot, you can find out that it's going to be useful in a lot of different parts.
Another question too was, is infrared pads good? Yeah, far infrared heat's fine. We actually use Thermatex quite often here. I think we posted a code on YouTube at least.
It is good for the hip because it's going to go much deeper through the soft tissue, the muscle, and the ligaments and heat things up deep in, which the hip is, particularly in the backside. There's a lot of muscle to get through, so far infrared can be much better. It does cost quite a bit more though. So,
yeah,
but you get what you pay for.
If you can afford it, they're really nice. You guys have them at your house.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I use the other one. It's fine. Anyway, to strengthening, because Brad's been bugging me for 20 minutes about it.
Yeah.
So we're going to look at strengthening the hip. Now, you have a lot of different hip motions, so I'll stand up and kind of explain it. You have hip flexion, which means bringing your hip forward like this or marching. You have hip abduction. Abduction is out to the side, and adduction is bringing it back in, or adduction. And then you have hip extension, which works your glutes more. So your hip can go in any of these motions, and we even have internal and external rotation of the hip, which is this motion. So we're going to try to give you some exercises to strengthen all these.
So should we start with hip flexion or hip abduction?
Well, probably abduction, because it's first on the list and you keep hopping all around.
Well, and hip abduction is probably one of the most important ones for most people, I think.
Yeah, so hip abductors actually keep you upright. They're on the side of your hip. We call them the glute medius and minimus. There's a few other little ones in there. But if you have weak hip abductors, you may see some people, but they do a waddle walk, and they'll kind of go like this. So one of their hip abductors is probably weak. If they do a double waddle walk, then both of them are weak. So we want to try to strengthen those up. So there's many variations or ways to strengthen this. You can do it standing, you can do it lying on your side, or you can kind of do it seated, depending upon what you have access for at the gym. We'll move this out of the way a little bit.
Should we show just the standard without any resistance or ankle weights?
Yeah, why don't you just
Which
do that
for a lot
real
of people, particularly if you're weak or you haven't done much exercises, will be adequate. Get Sam out of the way. Sorry about that. Is abduction. Look at my toes are pointed straight ahead. If you do this motion with your toes like this, which is a natural tendency, you will not get your proper muscles. Point the toes forward out here, and then watch my trunk. I'm going to do it improperly. This isn't going to help. This is the proper way. Toes straight ahead, trunk straight, and then out with meaningful, moderate, slowly exercise. We're not swinging. Again, just like this. If you need some weights, you don't have any weights, and you live in a northern country, put some snow boots on. That's enough weight, probably a couple pounds. Or if you got someone working in an industrial area where they got steel toe boots, those are usually 2 or 3 pounds as well. Or put ankle weights on that wrap around with Velcro. Good. These stretch bands, if you have these, are really handy. You can put it to a leg of a chair, of a stairs or whatever, give something for balance. And you can use these as well, these strap ones.
You can use little loop bands too.
Yep.
Put it around both ankles.
You simply put this together and you simply make a loop, put it around a solid area, or you can have someone hold it for you, which is not very convenient.
Or loop bands like this one.
Oh, there we go. So again, going out is hip abduction. This is not for beginners. This is for someone who's strengthening and they're really working more. Usually 10 reps, fatigue at 9 and 10, that's good. 2 to 3 sets of 10 after you get rid of your soreness. If you haven't done it before, the next day you may have some muscle soreness, which is normal.
Now, since we're standing, I think another good option to do would be some sidestepping. Now, you can use resistance or you don't. Sorry, Tanner, I'm running away and turning TikTok over here so they can see what the heck's going on. So what you can do is place a band. If it's more up towards, you don't have to have a band if you're a beginner and you're unsteady. And you can hold on to a countertop. You could try placing it up at your knees if you want and try to keep your legs apart in tension the whole time. If you want to get a little more challenging, you can drop it down to your ankles down here. You can also do this with cuff weights, but it's not going to have the same. And what I like to do is actually have a little bit of bend in my knee. If you need a countertop or something to hold on to, go ahead. And then you're just going to sidestep. Notice when I'm sidestepping, I'm not bringing them super close. The band is loose. I'm keeping tension the whole time. So I'm just going to go sideways. And you can go 10 feet, 20 feet, whatever you have room in your house. But make sure to go both directions. You're really going to start strengthening those glutes, hip abductors, as well as your butt. This is what I like to really do.
Yeah, I do. I got round ones like this. You know, the typical tube banding. And if you have that, you can do this similar exercise like this. And that works out really well
now,
as well.
If you don't have any of these, you can lie on your side.
There you go.
Because now you have to fight gravity. So I like to bend my bottom knee just so I have some balance here. And you're actually just going to kick up sideways like this. Notice it's the same as Brad was showing when he was standing. He's not rotating his foot out. He's keeping it straight ahead. Even with this one, you can kind of bring your toe pointed down a little bit, but just kick up. You just don't want your hip to get too far forward at all. You want it in a direct line. So my arm is in direct line with my leg. I'm not going forward because that's going to use slightly different muscle groups. And just try to do 10 of them this way. And then you can also put a cuff weight on if you want to make this more challenging. But notice I'm just controlling it. I'm not doing this because I'm not activating my muscles very much. Go up, hold it for a few seconds, and then back down.
Should we show the next one, the glute max?
Yes.
See how you're there? You can start with Rick's exercise recommendation.
Sure. So what we're going to talk about is strengthening your glute muscles. So your glute max or your butt specifically. Now there's many ways you can strengthen your glutes. There's lots of different exercises. We're just going to show a isolation of the glute. We're going to show a couple variations because not everyone is comfortable on their hands and knees like I am right now. So what you're going to do is actually get on your elbows like this. And then if I'm strengthening my right one, what I'm going to do is bring it up in the air. People, I don't know what you call this in school. I used to call it a mule kick, but I think they have different names for it. But the full motion is actually kicking, bringing your knee down, going all the way back up. What we're going to do is just kind of go halfway in between here. And then you're just going to do little oscillations for 30 reps. You can do 3 sets of 10, 2 sets of 15, whatever's comfortable. If you're not feeling much in your glute and you're feeling it in your hamstrings, try bringing your toe in. You're going to isolate your glute a little more and try it that way. Now, if this seems easy, you can always throw a cuff weight like Brad is doing, but you're going to put it above your knee. So you're going to get your glute a little more, and you can do it that way. And oh yeah, that's
so you can see it there.
That's already more challenging.
Yeah. Oh yes.
So some people can't do this in this position. Brad, you want to show how to do it in a standing position?
Sure. Yeah, that quadruped or hands and knees can be very uncomfortable and awkward. If you have something to lean on, solid like a cupboard, anything about this height, bend the knee. I'm going to be working the right side now. 90-degree bend in the knee approximately. We're going to go up and down in that mid-range. So we're not swinging way like this. It's a mid-range exercise with good control. I'm going to get forward so I don't kick the wall or somebody behind me.
Oh, yeah, kickback. Yeah, you can call this a kickback.
Yep, you can call it a kickback. Now, again, you rotate it like this to isolate that glute max, and you'll feel that glute max kick in a little bit more. Just be careful. If you get a cramp in your hamstring, you got your knee flexed too much, and if you get a cramp, then you're going to need to stretch it out however you can. Usually that doesn't happen with this one, but it can.
Now, there's tons of other exercises that are more compound or work numerous muscle groups. like lunges or squatting or sit to stands. They'll still hit your glute max, but they also work your quads and hamstrings a lot. One most people can do, it does isolate the glutes a little bit more, is actually a bridge. You're getting your low back in there as well and some of your quads. But for beginners, most people know what a bridge is. You lie flat on your back on the floor or in bed, and you lift your butt up in the air, and then you hold it for 3 to 5 seconds for beginners, and then back down. You can do this for 10 repetitions. If this is really easy, you can try making it harder by placing a band around both knees. Brad, you want to give me one of those booty bands?
A what?
The booty bands, they were called.
Oh, yes. You want the purple one?
Sure, I'll take
Say
it.
no more. Booty woodies.
So sometimes what you can do to target your external rotators and your hip abductors and your glute max, a lot of them is place the band above your knees like this. Make sure you get some tension by pulling it apart and then doing this exercise and just doing 10 repetitions of it. You could do 3 sets. I've even done this just for a minute holding this position. And I'll tell you what, my butt was so sore the next day, I was surprised.
Be careful.
If this is too easy, you can certainly, some people do hip thrusters where they'll actually place a bar or a weight on their pelvis region and thrust up. Oftentimes you need to be supported by a bench on your back for that. It's not done in the bed.
That's a little advanced.
But if you want to do another variation, if this is too easy, you can certainly just progress it to one leg and try to hold a nice, keep your core nice and straight. Don't let it drop down.
You
like
getting
that.
tired, Mike?
Well, I'm talking a lot while exercising, so yeah, I'm running out of wind.
You want a break?
Sure.
I want to talk about hip flexor strengthening. I apologize to the person at the beginning. Hip flexor had a weak hip, having a hard time bringing it up. So if you're in a seated position, you can put anything on for weight if you need any weight. Maybe your shoe is enough, or put a heavier shoe on. I've got a 3-pound cuff weight that we were using with Velcro, and we're simply going to go like this. Now, the problem with this is it only strengthens your muscle in this flexed range. So it's okay to do that. Get fatigued after 10 repetitions, let it rest, and do another set of 10. But not the first day. Wait and see if you get sore muscles the next day. Then I would go to a stool, which is a way to progressively increase the intensity and range of motion. I'm a little higher. I get more range of motion. Good posture here. We're not doing this, leaning forward and doing that at all. Up tall, paws, shoulders back, head up, and that's going to help isolate the hip flexor. I can tell the difference from seated at the low stool to the mid stool. 10 of those. If that's not aggressive enough, or after you get stronger, then you will want to stand and get full or near full range of motion here. And you could do this again without a weight, with a shoe on, with a heavier boot or shoe to progress weight. Bring it up to at least 90 degrees. I would go as far as you can comfortably. And if you want to do this and then go backwards to get the glute and stretch that hip flexor, that could be a good combination as long as there's no pain associated with it.
You can also do that standing off the step if you want to get more depth of hip flexion as well.
Oh, yeah. Good idea, Mike. There.
What are you pointing at, Danny?
So here we're letting that down and we're going here, and that gives you a little more freedom, whatever feels comfortable for you. If you're not comfortable with this, and that's good, that's going to be helpful. I can feel that hip flexor getting fatigued. I'm going to need to take the weight off. You know what I'm saying?
I guess.
All right. How we doing, Mike?
I think we're doing pretty good. We did all the strengthening exercises. Did we forget anything? You know, you can just do sit-to-stands too if you're very uncomfortable doing squats, because most people understand what a sit-to-stand is.
Right. So again, now squats is great for the hips, but it doesn't isolate as well, which may be good for you, because you're getting your glutes, you're getting quads, a little bit of hamstring in there, and you're working balance as well. But good posture here. You can push here to give yourself some assistance. If you cannot do 10 of them without using assistance from your hands on the armrests or on your knees, use what you need so that when you get to 10 reps, you feel like you need to sit down and rest and take a break. Then you can do some more. So sit to stand squats are a great way to work strengthening for all this.
Bowie Productions says, how would you suggest using a heating pad when your hip hurts? Lay on it or lay it over your hip? If you lay on it, it's just going to be more intense, so beware of that. You may not have to turn it up as much or put some more layers in between your skin and the heating pad. you can certainly lay it on top of your painful side too, whatever comfortable. You can also sit on them. You're gonna get a lot more heat intensity when your weight is on it. So just be aware of that.
The big thing is that you're comfortable. Your hip feels relaxed and you're comfortable before you put the hot pack on. Get comfortable, everything's relaxed, then the heat. So you may want to use some pillows, adjust, sometimes lying down with your knees up a little bit with pillows under your knees, sometimes in a chair or recliner going back. It's going to be different depending on the individual and the circumstances.
Sandra says her right hip has always been tight, and when I sit and put my socks on, put my right foot on top of my left thigh, it hurts some. When I was a child, Dad took me to a chiropractor. It sounds to me like you have some tight rotator muscles, which we talked about and showed earlier in the video. The whole first part of the video, Sandra, is actually stretches for your hips, so you can try them all out. But the figure 4, which was one we showed, yeah, you can rewind while watching on YouTube, and they'll stay on YouTube as well later. So TikTok, if you're coming in too, it's on YouTube. You can watch the whole thing, but just try to work on stretching more, because if you're just tight all the time and it hurts, it's because you have some mobility issues. So you try to work on them. But just the figure 4 stretch would be good for that. Brad, I think, has a tip too.
Yeah, if you have difficulty getting to this point, which a lot of people will, particularly if you're older, use a belt or a strap or something around the ankle and see if you can pull it up like this to get through that phase of it. Again, you got to be careful with your hip. If you've had a hip replacement, you're not going to push it. You need to contact your doctor. If you get sharp pain when you do this, you need to stop. You're not going to push through the sharp pain, break it loose, and all of a sudden be good. This is something that takes time, a period of possibly weeks to get it from here up to here, never experiencing sharp pain, just little stretch, allowing those tissues to stretch over time. So patience is really important. It probably has taken months or years for that hip to tighten that tight. We need time to stretch it out.
JS had a question, not about the hip, but the ankle. And they said, what exercise for pain in front of ankle when leaning forward or squatting? You're going to want to look up ankle mobilization, specifically talo curl joint. There's a lot of different videos out there on that. Most of them use bands, but it sounds like you have some limitation in your ankle mobility. So I would work on doing mobs on your ankle specifically, and that should probably help.
Well, that's exactly the problem you had as a result of an ankle sprain in high school football, isn't it?
It was after high school, and it was ultimate frisbee, but yes.
Well, maybe you should quit playing that wild sport.
I haven't sprained my ankle in over a decade now, but yeah. If it's really old injury and it's really tight, it may not come back depending upon what happened. But if it's more fresh or you just notice it's tight, you just may need to do some mobs and stretching.
I think we have some videos on ankle stretching and mobs for that. That's
Do
Bob
you
and
have
Brad.
any recommendation for someone who's obese trying to get back into some level of fitness? I think stretches would be a great place to start. I have no idea which ones to do. Just walk and eat better, because diet plays much more of a role than you think, as I've personally found out over the years. I was a very overweight child. Many people don't know that.
Nobody cares.
But your diet is going to play much more of an impact than just exercising, if I'm being blunt. Sorry.
Exercise is excellent. We encourage it profusely, but what is the old saying? You actually lose weight at the dinner table. You get fit exercising, but they do work together like
yin and yang.
Yeah, there you go. So that's just some information.
Piriformis muscle tightness exercise. We showed a lot of that earlier, Mo, but any of the rotation in or out, stretching like this, rotating, lying down, seated position, whatever, you can certainly rewind the video or watch it later. We go over a lot of that. Any hip internal, external rotation is going to help with that.
Swimming is good. Is it good for those with AVN? I'm assuming that's avascular necrosis, or maybe not. I'm not 100%.
I'm not sure. AVN,
yeah. But swimming is typically great for any joints or any exercises. You get non-weight bearing, particularly through the hip. You get more motion available with less pain. So swimming, if you have a pool available and you enjoy being in the water, it's going to help.
Could you explain what PNF stretches will be contraindicated for the hips? I don't think any of them are contraindicated.
Well,
I mean,
PNF, that's a whole nother video in itself.
If you had a hip replacement and it's fresh, maybe, but there's no like
Yeah.
research I'm aware of that says what any of the PNF patterns are just like a lot of motions all at once, pretty much. But it's a little nerdy for the layperson.
Yeah, that one.
There's D1 and D2.
And then plus it's getting pretty late. We're almost
we're running a little long.
out, yeah.
So next week we'll be back with another live. We'll be live on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. We'll be talking about neck pain and headaches again. It'll be 10 o'clock Central Time. Don't know what time zone that is for you guys watching, but we appreciate it. If you want to watch this again, it will be constantly on YouTube under the live section. So if you missed something, it'll be there. You can rewind, fast forward, play double speed, whatever you want.
Yeah, it can be entertaining all in itself. So very good. Thank you for joining us. I hope we were able to give you some helpful information. Be careful. And once again, we can fix just about anything except for
a broken heart. And I don't think the hips have anything to do with it.
Well, everything's connected in the body, Mike, and there may be some relation here. We'll work on it.
Yeah,
Maybe we can ask AI.
Pull my hip heart cord.
Be careful.